The exercises that are part of PushBack have been chosen to address specific symptoms related to Parkinson's disease. They target things like small movements, slow movements, rigidity or stiffness, particularly in the trunk and the neck, which we see a lot with people with Parkinson's disease, and then also balance disorders.
We've worked at developing these by watching people do them and by consuming a lot of literature from people from a lot of years and trying to titrate it down into some exercises that'll fit into an hour. They're common exercises, but they're all scalable, so everybody in the same room can do them at an intensity that works for them. And they're grouped for efficiency. So rests are in an active state. You're usually stretching when you're resting. It really helps to target a lot of different problems in a short amount of time. So this interval approach is really helpful to get the most exercise in as possible and to help drive that intensity. The exercises are grouped into 4 different circuits, and we'll give you highlights of those different circuits in this video. The leg circuit has exercises like lunges and side steps because those really help target amplitude of movement. There's also a lot of static and dynamic balance challenges with the agility ladder and with this single leg standing exercises. And there's an exercise in the leg circuit called burpee light. That's a great exercise for power and strength and exercising the back body. Another circuit is the floor circuit. The bird dog exercise, it really works the back body, bridging that targets the back of the hip, and clamshells that targets the side of the hip. Flexibility through the trunk rotation exercise and that wonderful child's pose exercise. In the wall circuit, we work a lot on that rigidity problem because rigidity can feed into poor posture. We have exercises like the wall angels and the wall squats. The cardio circuit looks a little different at every gym. If there's a big amount of space, you might have people running laps. If you have a more traditional gym setting, people might be on that cardio equipment for a time. In either case, we want people to work at intervals so they have a time where they're pushing their intensity as high as they can and a time where they kind of dial back on that. Each circuit is divided up into the same time elements. So you can have a class where multiple groups are doing different circuits, and sometimes space dictates that. So you can have a group doing the wall circuit, you can have a group doing the leg circuit, but the timing is the same for everybody. So that's really convenient. All of these circuits are 10 minutes long, so the whole program can fit into an hour-long session. Our players really seem to thrive on consistency. When we try to mix up the exercises too much, we lose some of that intensity of training because they have a lot of ramp-up time to learn something new. There's room for switching things up a little on the warm-up and the cool-down. That's where you can bring a little spice and personality into the routine.
Intensity is a big part of PushBack. And we like to make sure that people are really feeling the intensity that we are trying to promote in the class. So one of the ways we do this is we use the rate of perceived exertion scale on a 0 to 10 scale. When we ask people to rate their exertion, the goal is something around 6 to 8. They should be able to talk, but you don't want them to be able to sing.
We really rely on you to give players feedback. Feedback is crucial.
The reason for this is that people with Parkinson's don't have that drive to push their intensity themselves. So providing feedback helps to give that drive to people. It can be verbal, it can be demonstrative, or it can be tactile.
Feedback needs to be clear, concise, encouraging. It can be individualized or it can be given to the whole room.
You might be providing feedback and you're not seeing a lot in return. One of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease is a masked face. People sort of can have a blank look. It doesn't mean that they're not hearing you or registering what you're saying. It might mean you need to exaggerate your interaction with them.
Social cohesion is that glue that keeps a group together. So we're counting on all of you to help provide that. So what does that mean? It means mostly being outgoing and friendly, not being a wallflower and hanging around the back of the room, but putting yourself out there and talking to people, letting them get to know you, you getting to know them. You should still maintain boundaries. We don't want you to share contact information with people. We don't want you to get in touch with them outside of class.
This social cohesion is really big in helping people to work together and feel good.
You really can't have a team without some kind of communication between those team members and team positions. When a patient with Parkinson's becomes a player, the therapist helps develop a summary sheet to send out with them to the local gym before they start the program. That summary sheet will have information about balance, about dizziness, about endurance, maybe about aches and pains, things that the coaches and the partners want to know about the players before they take them into the program.
The gyms should consider the summary sheet as a ticket to the PushBack class. Players can register, but should not begin class until they have the summary sheet to share with coaches and partners. The summary sheet should be updated by their local PT every 6 to 12 months. Players should call their local PT if they're having new pain problems, signs of low blood pressure, or new balance problems. Coaches should encourage these conversations or can reach out to PTs if the problem is not being resolved. Coaches should call players who are absent for unknown reasons for 3 consecutive classes and reach out to the PT so that they know about it too. Legally, PTs cannot give personal health-related information to coaches or partners, but they should be able to answer questions about the disease process and how it may affect your players.
There's also an attendance sheet that the players use when they sign in and out of class. It has information about how they feel at the beginning and the end of class. It tells us whether they're having pain, how hard they worked on that rating of perceived exertion scale, and it has information about whether they've fallen in between classes.
We collect the data from these sign-in and sign-out sheets to track attendance and monitor outcomes. So it's really important that players complete them and that I receive them. Ideally, I would like them once a week, although if I receive them once a month, that's okay. We will provide you with a registration form, or you are welcome to use your own. But the most important thing is that I receive an up-to-date list of players who are participating in PushBack classes, and most importantly, their email addresses if they have them. This is so that we can keep the PD community up to date with new PushBack classes, as well as make sure that everyone receives our monthly newsletter, the Burpee Banner. We really want community gyms and coaches to be able to host a sustainable program. So with that said, the gyms set their own fees. However, we do not want costs to be prohibitive to any player participating in PushBack. So we offer partial and full scholarships to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate. We have found that players really like to cover at least part of the cost so they feel like they have the skin in the game. But thanks to a really generous donation, we do have the ability to cover the entire cost of PushBack for any player. Players simply contact me via email or phone to let me know that they need financial assistance. Gyms are responsible for invoicing me on a regular basis for those scholarship funds. I'm happy to provide a template for that invoice if needed. For new PushBack sites, we will start by organizing a team in your area. Once all of those folks have received training from us, we will create a flyer for you to advertise this new class offering. We really would like it for people to hold off on advertising until we make sure that everyone is ready to make sure that the PushBack class is going to run as smoothly as possible. For existing PushBack sites, you simply need to let me know the dates, times, and location of your next session at least 8 weeks in advance. I will update the flyer and then help you get the word out to the PD community.
All these nuts and bolts come together to make a program that's really helpful for people with Parkinson's and their families. We look forward to welcoming you into our local PushBack community.
My favorite thing about this is just the immediate feedback that I can see, the quality of life improvement for these players. All the stuff that we do, it's not about running a 4-minute mile or deadlifting hundreds of pounds. You know, when you improve somebody's posture, somebody's balance, somebody's ability to turn up or get out of a chair, you can immediately see the benefit in their life, and that's really valuable to me.
I think it's that personal touch. You know, you're not just there for a class, you're there to be more for them. You really can kind of push back at Parkinson's. It definitely helps to keep it from taking over their lives.
Positive relationships are built here. Seeing these guys work so hard actually motivates me to work so hard in the gym as well. By learning all these different exercises, I do them myself, and I get a lot out of it.
Seeing the difference that this program makes in people's lives. People come in at one level doing the exercises and you just see them progress, and you can see it helps them out so much in just the course of the time we're doing it. It just makes a huge difference in their lives, and that means a lot to me.
I'm very fortunate in that I get to establish rapport with each of the individuals and get to know them on a personal level. I think interprofessional relationships are really important.
The range of motion that they get through doing these exercises, or the number of reps that they can do, or the amount of energy that they can put into that, it expands over time. So it's really neat to see. It's almost like they're gaining back something that they've lost. And it gives them such a great way to reclaim that. It's amazing.
What's valuable to you about PushBack?
Everything. I couldn't move without it.
I think the best way I could describe it is an adrenaline high. You just feel so good. Working out with others in the group makes you work harder because you're pushing each other more rather than when you work out by yourself.
One of the items that I think is really important is the camaraderie. Everybody getting to know each other.
Well, I live up in the mountains. It sometimes takes me 40 minutes to get here. And I sometimes think, oh, I'd rather sit home and read this book, but it gets me going that way. And so I get here and get energized, and I think I do more than I would if I was just reading the book at home.
By doing the exercises, I don't get as stiff. I can continue with my normal life. I don't feel like I'm getting worse.
I feel myself pushed. I mean, that's actually what I find the most valuable. I'm more motivated working with a group of people trying to accomplish similar goals than just doing it by myself. You know, we're all doing what we can. You're using a joint effort to accomplish an individual goal. It becomes an event that you look forward to.
It's a place where I come that has a lot of energy. I feel like I'm alive.
1, 2, 3, we